All right, episode 125, Real Estate Leads. Are you in talking to the right people? We're about to find out right now.
Well, are you?
Well, and we have no intro. So,
I
was
for a second, I was like, what are we going to do here? We think somebody bought the rights to the music for our intro, and so we don't have the time to get this shut down and restart back up today, so we're just rolling it.
No, yeah, we're gonna mess with it. So look,
if that was Jason Northcutt that bought the rights to our music, so bad.
How great would that be?
That would be so awesome.
Pretty funny
that would be awesome. But look, today we were talking about real estate leads, and if we are actually talking to the right people, is your message matching what the market is wanting? And before we dive into that, right? If you haven't been a part of our Facebook group yet, or maybe you were and you kind of jumped out and fell off, go over to the only real estate group worth being a part of. Go join up, request access. I look really, really big in this. It seems like a really
I'm
up
looking
close.
at you on my camera too.
Why is that so up close there?
The camera's over here.
Yeah.
I don't even know which one it is. There we go.
There it is. Maybe that'll be better. So go over to the only real estate group worth being a part of. Jump on there, request access, as well as support our sponsors, right? Our first one, our favorite loan officer, Michael DeBacker, Mortgage Mike. Ask him to deliver that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. All you need to do, just go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com. If you have a client that needs that A-plus service. Maybe.
Michael DeBacker came in the other day, or yesterday. I called him a DeBacker Claus. Came in to our team meeting and gave away some amazing Christmas gifts to the team. We did a randomizer wheel on the computer. Everybody's name was on there, and when your name came up, you got a bottle of something good.
Oh,
and what I was really surprised about is that he brought more than Fireball. I thought it was going to be different sizes, and we'd have the 20-year Fireball, the 30-year Fireball.
Do they have that?
They should.
Do they have
they will
a special allocation?
Fireball aged in oak casks.
Yes. Actually, they do have. I've seen Fireball that comes out of one of those bourbon, those bourbon barrels. So go over to mortgagemikeoftexas.com. Go support him. Great loan officer. I mean, once you talk to him, you're only going to send all your business to him.
That's a true story.
Then, look, property management sucks a fat load. We've talked about it before. So homewardfw.com, we have partnered up and made sure that we are changing the property management game. Go talk to all of our people over there, because it's all about the communication, Brian.
It's about, I got to remember what those shirts say. Dana did a Facebook video a long time ago that where she was trying to talk about our value proposition. It was just the first take, but it sounded just so mashed together. And Matt and I took the little snippet of that video and got T-shirts made of what she said. And it's just random gibberish. And it says Homeward Property Management on the back.
She said something we prompted the question is so what's the value proposition of Homeward Property Management? She's like, good client service, great client service, and exceptional service.
So got word for word on a T-shirt.
And she's not wrong.
No,
it's amazing.
It's exactly what we're
times
providing.
3.
100%. We're people that built big real estate businesses, and now we're building a big property management company. We're going to provide the same customer satisfaction as we do on the other side. So
Absolutely.
we're really, really excited.
HomewardDFW.com. So, look, today's show, what we want to really dive into on today's show is look, with real estate leads, that's usually a hot topic. Oh, Brian, where are you closing all these deals from?
Where your leads
what
come
pond
from?
are you fishing in? Right? I want to catch those fish too. And so, we did a show earlier today for Lawyer's Title.
Yeah.
What is it? Spill the LT?
Spill the LT. And I didn't pick up on that until she said it. I thought it was just spill the T. Spill the LT makes more sense.
Spin the
LT. That's
Yep.
actually pretty cool.
So Tamara Gady with Lawyer's Title, thank you for having us on today. That episode will come out sometime in January, but it was about branding. And so, one thing that we talked about with our branding is we wanted to make sure with the show, with our real estate teams, is our message matching the market? Are we actually going after the right marketplace? Mm-hmm. And one thing that in the future, what we're really looking at is something that came up in terms of, December feels a little slower than normal.
Sure.
Right. Talking about that.
It's been a long couple years for everyone.
Yes. Right. And so, when you're prospecting or lead generating right now, you want to hit the pond that has the most fish, the ones that are going to be biting. And The National Association of Realtors just released this article that talked about single women buyers are outpacing men. And it says, but not without sacrifices.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet. So I'll read that later. But I just want to know, right now, are you going after the right lead sources, right? So if single women right now are a majority of the buyers in the marketplace, is your marketing efforts, are they falling on deaf ears, or are they being relatable?
Well, it's they're outpacing single men, it said, which is really just an indication, like, because I actually wouldn't have thought that. And it just opens up your mind a little bit to, like, whatever it is that you like, whatever is in your kind of target market, whatever is your niche, whatever it is that your messaging is mostly geared towards, like, do we really do a good enough job in our real estate business of tracking, this is my target market, this is my messaging towards that market, is this the right pond for me, is my ROI on what I'm doing to fish in that pond, is it there, or have I always just kind of done things this way, so I'm going to continue to do them this way? We don't do a ton of I think that we do, but I think for most people, we don't do a ton of analytics on, this is the pond that I want to be fishing in, and this is the pole that I need to use. And I'd really like to talk about maybe some actionable stuff to kind of decipher what that looks like.
Well, I want you to break down as well, our brokerages helping set us up for success, right? I think real estate teams and platforms maybe, but here's the stat. 1981, 73% of home buyers were married couples. Okay. 11% were single women and 10% were single men. Today, those shares stand at 60% married couples.
That's a big drop.
19% single women, so up 8%, and then 9% single men. So what is that? That's down 1%, right? The highest share of single women buyers was in 2006 when that share stood at 22%. But after 2006, the share of single women buyers dropped significantly to a recent low to 15% in 2015, and then since 2015, it has increased to 19%. So of course, married couples.
I wonder what's changed. How much has the divorce rate gone up since 1981? Maybe that's where all these single buyers are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it for sure could be. There was something during the pandemic that talked about divorces actually fell.
You didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, you're locked in.
And then you right now, if we were allowed to leave this house,
what kind of fights would those be?
So
those
bad,
were awful.
So
right?
bad.
Talks about in the recent years, an easy explanation for the rise in single women buyers was the drop in the share of Americans who are married. Right, so the marriage rates have decreased.
Yeah.
And people are getting married later too, right? I mean, I'm a perfect example. I didn't get married till I was 30. My first kid till I was 35.
I think that's true in comparison with another statistic, which is I think that people are getting married later, and maybe this is anecdotal, I feel like more single people are geared towards home buying before they get married than ever before. You used to really rent before you got married and then purchase. I know a lot of people that buy before they get married.
I think there's just a push towards independence, not with women specifically, but with just younger people. They're doing a lot of things that we used to think the nuclear family had to do on their own, right? And I think that's a huge part of it. People aren't, we talk about, needing two incomes more than ever now, right? But the reality is there's still lots of young people who I deal with who have bought homes all by themselves before they were 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right. I certainly didn't do that.
Sure. I think that's an interest. It's like we talk about fishing in the right pond. Like, these things actually really, really matter. Like your marketing messaging, like your pond that you're fishing in, right? Like that's honestly a takeaway that I just kind of got from this is like, why are not tailoring more messaging towards younger single people?
Well, with this too, it talks about single women buyers are more likely to purchase a home with a child under the age of 18 in the house and are more likely to purchase a multi-generational home, right? So housing adult siblings, adult children, and or grandparents. So these family obligations may make purchasing a home more attractive to a single woman buyer as she has had the need for stable housing on a continual basis.
Sure.
Right. Again, it just needs to match that marketplace. The second major question they talked about posed is the finances, so the sacrifices. Women home buyers typically purchase a home at a household income of $65,000 compared to single men at $78,000. Right. So, it's One, probably
so women make less money and more of them buy houses. They're way smarter.
Yes, we already knew that.
Yeah, that's been established
for sure.
But how do you start tailoring your messaging, right? So, number one is I can tell you from a brokerage standpoint, probably both of ours, they're not setting that as
I don't think any brokerage.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier today, and not only on the podcast, but in a conversation Brian and I had afterwards. And I do think from a team perspective, right? Like, Livian DFW is going to do, 300 units this year. You guys are going to do 200 units this year, right? Like, I don't know what your numbers are, right? Like, these are two massive teams. And I think what happens on the brokerage level from a team perspective is they lose their ability to advise you. Right. Like, the reality is, as much as I enjoy everybody in our office, I will tell you there are only about 2 people qualified to talk to us about what we're doing that have been there. Right.
Right.
There's a lot of, I'm sure each brokerage is different, but there's a lot of my thought is that there's a lot more focus put on getting individual agents into production because it is an easier conversation. Right.
For sure.
You come to larger teams and start trying to have some of the entry level conversations that brokers just do, because again, brokerages are worried about body count. They're not worried necessarily. The reality is an agent has a finite amount of money they're going to make the brokerage. And then, especially if you're in a capping style brokerage, to where they're no longer profitable for brokers. Now, I don't mean that means that the brokerage
sound taboo, but that is the business model of a brokerage.
It just is. And it's like, I mean, anybody who doesn't understand that part, like, I'm sorry if I'm like disappointing you. It seems super obvious.
Yeah.
If you're a business person, that they obviously need to make money in order to function. And the way to make money is to have more people paying in.
Yeah.
And even little bits.
Your doctor needs you to get sick.
Yes, exactly. I
don't know if you know that.
Yeah. They want you to succeed. They want you to do super well.
Yes.
Right. But they have a business to run also. And that business probably has a different model than what your business is going to. So anyways, I say all that to say, I don't think it's possible for brokerages to give all the value when you start producing at a super high level. When we're talking about individual agents, and we see it all the time, people posting about who has the best training and what brokerage should I start with, and we're in a lot of Facebook groups, we see it all the time. Those are the types of agents who really need to be evaluating what the brokerage can do for you, because what a brokerage can do very early on in your career, it can help you stay in the business or make you go back to whatever you were doing.
Yes,
yeah. Right.
But if I run a brokerage, if I ran a large, big box brokerage, I guarantee you that I would be having those conversations about. I would have those conversations in our monthly, weekly sales training of saying, again, just like this, is the message matching? All you have to do is go, by the way, we found this. One, we talked about this on a show earlier today. But it's all you have to do is go on Realtor.com or Realtor Magazine and look at the daily trends, and they will start. I'm not good at pulling the data and then in figuring out how to articulate it. I'm going to let someone else smarter than me to do so.
Yeah.
Right. And so this here has broken it down to me that says, all right, 60% of home buyers are still married. They're married couples, right? Then 19% are single women. From that, it's, usually a single mom with the children under the age of 18 are going to buy a house, most likely a multi-gen home.
Right.
So can we start sending houses? Can we start, sending houses or running advertising or marketing for that, for multi-generational style homes? By the way, they're also willing to make more sacrifices financially because on average, they're making $65,000, compared to the counterpart of a single male making $78,000, and the males aren't buying.
Yep, blowing it all.
Yeah, they're idiots.
That's a strict.
Well, there's a reason why all marketing demographics of crap they're trying to sell you are focused on 25 to 45-year-old men. Sure. They're the ones with the most disposable income. You know what I mean? Like, and that are willing to just toss it away. This is kind of a slight side note, just because we're talking about this, and if any part of this comes out weird, I hope it doesn't, because it's meant in all types of compliments. But is part of this number that we're seeing too, especially when you talk about the single mothers with children under 18, just the fact that in divorced situations or situations where there is some type of custody, the reality is the mother ends up with majority custody so much of the time,
and tends to be the more responsible
one. and is looking for the security and of home ownership, right? Yeah. The consistency of home ownership, a place to everybody who's got a kid understands, you'll do anything for that kid, and to the point where you will make more sacrifices.
There's got to be
an aspect to that, right?
It's a very nuanced connection, but I would 100% bank on that.
Yes, and so there's more to this, right? So then, as you're tailoring your marketing message, does the age? If this was the ticket, we would call you out on that, Brian. We'd be like, Brian, what is that? What was that?
I would go through and pull
Yeah, we would have to play that as a drop from now on.
Regonk.
Yes. And so you need to start tailoring. Age has something to do with also your marketing, right? And the wording. And so what do you think the for a first time homebuyer, first time women homebuyer and first time men homebuyer, what do you think their ages are?
I think women are going to be younger than men.
Okay.
I don't know if saying either of them, the average is got to be somewhere in the late 20s for women and early 30s for men.
What is that you're saying? Are we okay? So that was about what I was going to say. Are we saying single women home buyers and single men home buyers?
Yep.
I'm going to say 28 for women, 31 for men.
First time women buyers are 34 compared to men at 31.
See, I had it completely wrong.
See, I had it backwards too.
Among all buyers, single women are 51 compared to single men at 45.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I shot my other idea in the face.
Well, let me ask you guys this: because this is a good sort of jumping off point. Is like we're talking about this right now, and we kind of talked about brokerages earlier. What do you think a brokerage's role should be in these types of conversations, or in like these? Essentially, whoever figures this out for a real estate agent or real estate team or whatever, like this is a form of leverage. Is figuring out who should we be tailoring our message to, and what should that message be? What role should the brokerage be playing in that?
Dude, I mean, I'll kind of go back to what we were just talking about. I don't think the brokerage has the capacity. You might get lucky and strike lightning in a bottle, like I did with having you as a business partner who just fundamentally understands things at like a really high level that other people don't get. And I think you can run into a brokerage where maybe somebody like you was there and could really talk to them about certain types of ad targeting or things like that. I think the conversation is just too large of a conversation. It's too dynamic. Ad copy and who you direct it to and where you put that message. There are whole companies, like we talked about the Sirhan thing. Sirhan has 14 people on his content creation team figuring this out. I think it's just too large of a problem for the brokerage to solve for a massive amount of people.
Yeah.
Right. But right now, and the brokerage doesn't want to solve it, right? Because what they want to do is they come in and they say, call your sphere, right? And call your sphere. Oh, and by the way, call your sphere, right? Because the more that they start, one, it's easier to teach, right? Just make a list of 200 people. This is what you say to them. Get them in your CRM. By the way, what is the best CRM? Whatever it is, whatever
the
brokerage.
one you use.
Well, that's what we say. That's what we say. But for them, it's like, use KV Core, use Command, use Lion's Desk, whatever, right?
It's a game changer.
Yes. Yeah. 2022, we're only saying game changer. We're opening every show with game changer.
I'm going to hashtag every episode game changer.
Quit this podcast.
Yes. So this will be a game changing show today. Oh my God. Right? Either in a good way or a bad way.
We don't know. Has changed.
By the way,
players are the same.
By the way, when you say game changer, it could go either way.
Yeah, it could change for the worse.
Yeah.
Like, what if it was already a good game and now you're changing it to a shittier game?
Yeah.
Sounds awful. Yeah. What if you're changing it to like Browns? Yeah.
but it's easier. It's easier on the brokerage just to do the status quo. Right. They don't want to rock the boat. They want to, you start teaching Facebook ads and retargeting ads and Google pay-per-click. Then you get people in there. They're like, how do I even log into my Facebook?
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because it's true.
How do I make a custom audience?
Yeah. Hey, how do I do this? Did you watch the training? No. Okay. Yeah. Well, do that first.
No. Isn't that just a fundamental sort of flaw? Like real estate brokerages in the real estate business in general, like real estate coaching culture, it all trains on leverage.
So wouldn't it make sense for the brokerage just to hire somebody or put someone on retainer at a very small base, go charge the agents a minimal, but still enough for that person to go capture the majority of the office and start running different style retargeting ads run in to each of their sphere? Wouldn't it make sense from a broker standpoint?
I'm good at this stuff. And even I will tell you, if you told me that you had somebody that was better and I could just save my time and give them the same money, it would be fantastic. I'd close more deals. That person would have, their job, like 100%. 100%.
The problem comes back to something that we've been talking about on the side a lot lately is that what the brokerage and all brokerages have done this is they've taken what could be a massive entity that could make a real difference and busted up into smaller, less effective parts.
Fragmented it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And that is what keeps, again, the brokerage is moving so slow from an innovation standpoint, right? I think it's what keeps agents looking for bright, shiny objects, right? Because nobody's really innovating. Like this is the bullshit. Is nobody's really innovating, right?
Like right now, everyone's buying from the same lead pool.
Yes.
Right. So at this very moment, you've got companies, even in our marketplace, that are claiming to be the number one Zillow buyer in the country.
Why is that a brag? Like, how infuriating that sounds to
look how much money I spend on leads.
Stupid,
yes,
dude.
And so from that, agents are going there because they don't want to have to think about a lead generation model.
Yeah.
Right. But again, a Zillow lead and a Google pay-per-click lead, they're probably, chances are.
How do you think they end up on Zillow?
They're very similar people. Yes. And, when people say the leads are bad, the leads aren't bad because we only have a finite number of people in this world.
They're just human people.
Yes.
Like,
if you have good contact information, the lead is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
This is just the reality. If you have ever called somebody and they're like, yeah, this is John Smith, and then John Smith doesn't want to work with you, that ain't the lead, sweetheart.
Yeah.
That's
not
you.
his fault,
you know what I mean? Like, you talked to John Smith. The lead did what it was supposed to do. You didn't convert John Smith.
Right. The fundamental premise, I said that twice in one episode, is
at the end of the day.
I call it real estate tech at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's mine, right?
I call it real estate tech, which would be your Redfin, Zillows, whatever. And then your real estate brokerages. And real estate tech has been hell-bent on minimizing the human element of the real estate transaction. And they've done that by trying to give the consumer better tools. And then the real estate brokerage side has tried to continue, and rightfully so, continue the human element, maximize the human element of the real estate expertise in the transaction by giving the agent better tools, right? So the real estate tech is giving the consumer better tools. The real estate brokerages are giving the agents better tools. The issue is you could do both. You could, instead of, in this name of leverage that we're always talking about, instead of leaving the agents to figure out how to actually do the business side of real estate, which is advertising, infrastructure, all that type of stuff, you could create an arbitrage opportunity where you're taking the tools of a direct consumer and allowing the agents to be just agents or business, like just agents or team builders or whatever, right? And giving them leverage on the things that they shouldn't be experts at in the first place. But the way to do that is to build it, not to buy it from Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you being the biggest Zillow lead buyer just tells me that you don't know how to build that shit in-house, because that's all that Zillow did. And I'm not saying it's not complicated or difficult. I'm just saying it's not impossible, and it's certainly not something you can't replicate. You get a few people that know what they're doing, they can essentially generate that same sort of stickiness in their messaging, pass it on to your agents, and not continue to use Zillow as the leverage point, which they control.
Yeah. The reason I don't think the brokerage has ever really thought, one, I think you're absolutely right, is that they're both wildly successful, so they haven't looked at the middle ground because they haven't needed to.
That's the thing, is they both worked.
Right. But also it's the perceived value. So now you have an agent join a brokerage, they've got X amount of splits. You can't just divvy up these leads that come in through the company to anybody, because all agents aren't going to work them the same, right? So now you have to essentially go back to a paid agent model where the agent pays, because if you've got some skin in the game, you're more likely to do something with it, where the agent pays to get access to these leads at the brokerage and I don't think anybody's ever thought of it. And then if anybody ever did, they probably quickly came to like, well, what do we even do with them? How do we make it fair? How do we don't want to charge our agents more? We're already in this fee reduction space in real estate, right? Which by the way, if you've ever commented on anything that you work for a 100% broker, you don't.
No.
Nobody makes 100% of their money. Otherwise your broker wouldn't exist. You pay money.
Have you ever heard this sentence? I make 100% of my commission. I just pay a transaction fee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you just hear what you said?
Yeah. You literally fundamentally don't understand math.
Do you speak English?
You know what I mean?
Like, what are you talking about?
But my whole point being is I just don't think they can figure out. They were never going to figure out how to make that work, and I don't think they can figure out the infrastructure afterwards to make it work and still provide value when everybody's just scrambling for the bodies to keep them going from some other brokerage because they're really just worried about that body count at the end of the day, right?
At the end of the day, then what you're saying is what you're really
it's
saying
going to be a game changer.
It's going to be a game changer. And what you're also saying, this is morbid to say, we have too many realtors out there.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Like you could make this business model work, and it would leave some people out in the cold.
You can just look at the production of the average real estate agent and realize there's too many. There's no way. What would the average real estate agent will call 7 deals a year? That's always what I've heard.
7 deals a year and call it an average price point of $300,000 nationwide. So that would be 3%. Like I don't know what that means. Like 3% per deal. So 9,000 times 7. That's 60. That's like you're not after splits in your infrastructure. You're like the average realtor would have to make below the median income in America.
And after you pay taxes and have business expenses, you 100% probably do.
You'd have to be.
And for me, that's always been a hard thing to kind of reconcile. And I also the bigger thing's not even the money around that number. It's the fact that I sell a lot of houses. You guys sell a lot of houses. We're around people who sell a lot of houses. There's no way you can be the best fiduciary for your clients if you're doing a deal every 6 weeks.
It's just not
you're
enough
just
repetition.
not seeing enough. Yeah.
And
you're not getting enough reps.
2020, the number of sides averaged 10.
Okay.
10
sales.
So
right?
better. And here's the thing is, I'm not, this isn't even to agents who do 7 or 10 deals. I'm not saying you're not a good real estate agent. I'm saying that you definitely are not in the studio, at the gym, on the field as much and seeing, you know why people are really great at things is because they've seen it come at them 50 different ways. NFL wide receivers practice catching footballs in odd positions and from odd angles and with things in front of them. If
both
you're not
feet in a million different ways,
the more deals you're doing, the more ways you're catching the football. And if you tell me that doesn't make you better, I disagree.
This is interesting.
All right.
Where buyers found the home they purchase.
Ooh.
Open houses, most effective lead generation ever.
It's not bad. 4%. It's not terrible.
That's the number I've always heard is 4%.
51% on the internet.
How is that number not 100%?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, that's not
Real estate agent, 28%. So my thing is like,
that can't be true.
That's such a baseball ass stat where you can just
when
use
they're
it.
doing the
this
survey,
ESPN Next Gen stats, this is way off. This
right?
can't, because the real estate agent, you found it, they saw it on the internet. What are you talking about?
Yes.
The real estate agent wasn't driving around looking for signs. They found it online too.
4% from a yard sign or open house. Friend, relative, or neighbor, 6%.
Okay.
Home builder or their agent, 6%.
Which should also be online.
Directly from sellers, they knew the sellers, 3%. Print, newspaper advertisement, still at 1%.
Hey, hanging in there.
I've worked with so many buyers over the years, and I just have not had the experience where my buyers come to me and be like, you know what, man? We drove around all the neighborhoods. We drove to the builder. We looked in the newspapers. We just didn't think to go to the internet or call an agent first. Like like I know the agent and the internet make up for about almost 80% of that, and it's 98%.
So if it's 51, then 28 was agents. So you add that because agents are just going to send you stuff from online.
Yeah.
So that's 79% right there. Open houses, you see all those online. So that's 4%. That's 83% right there. There's some other ones in there that absolutely, like the home builder thing is 6.
Friend, relative, or neighbor, they probably found that
They probably
online.
found that online too. Yeah.
Right.
Because the other 3% was people they already knew, like they knew the owner.
Yes.
So it's not friend, relative, neighbor that is the owner. It's friend, relative, neighbor that referred you out. They probably saw that. It's over 90% of people that found it online.
So here's a fun one, right? So again, matching the marketplace. So we're
Common Core bullshit was that?
we're in a shortage of inventory, right? So if you want to go get more listings, most difficult task that for sale by owner, right? This is
selling the house.
Preparing/fixing home up for sale was 17%.
Okay.
Getting the right price was 14%. Understanding and performing the paperwork, 11%. Selling within the planned length of time, 5%. Having enough time to devote to all the aspects of the home sale, 5%. Attracting potential buyers, 3%. And then helping buyers obtain financing, 3%. So if you were to go use these statistics, and let's just say that was 2020, that stays true.
Yeah.
Do you think when you're calling for sale by owners, you're really saying, I'm going to help you find the right buyer?
That they care? That's a great statistic.
That's actually a really great stat.
That's 3%.
Yeah.
And then the preparing the home was the biggest one?
Preparing the home for sale was 17%.
And then what was 14?
Getting the right price.
So you're talking about 30% of what people's woes are right there in two little value propositions that you could easily provide for people.
And then understanding and performing the paperwork was 11%.
That's 50% of this whole thing right here.
Every other FSBO you talk to, you can immediately solve their problems.
Yes.
By being a competent professional.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And here's the thing too, right? Like they say that getting the right price deal, we don't have crystal balls or time machines, so you can't go sell your house by yourself and then call me and sell and then see which one you net the most number on. So there's no way to prove this. But I fundamentally believe every FSBO leaves money on the table, right? Like I get it. We can talk about commissions and talk about their net number. FSBOs are not getting top dollar for their home. It's just an exposure issue.
You're already not saving 6% because 92% of the people, home buyers, use agents. So you're already paying that to the other side. So you're really talking about 3%. I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who owns properties, if I see you as a FSBO, I'm not offering full price. I just usually am not. Like,
that's why people are looking for it.
Yeah. You're just not. I agree 100%, dude. Yeah, I would absolutely bet dollars to donuts. That's a new one I'm going to start working in.
That's a good one.
Dollars to donuts that
this is Brian's billionaire idea.
You're losing out on that 3% by listing on your own. I guarantee it.
Brian's new analogies. Dollars to donuts. I mean, look, there are several different ways that we can even take this. I'll spitball some ideas out for matching the market. Probably not, you probably get some shit on this one, but 2022, right? Coming up, you want listings right now. Why not go and just list houses for free at the moment? Now, hear me out, right? Okay. You want to go build some inventory? Go list some houses for free. Go start building inventory. Go kick ass on the open house, right? And then just double side it and just make sure that you let the homeowner know what you're doing, right? Full disclosure. In Texas, we can do that.
Yeah, you can do
just for full disclosure. You're going to pick up buyers from that. Mm-hmm. And then you start going to the neighbors and start picking that up. There are opportunities right now. That is a little bit of a race to the bottom, but in a short inventory market, home sellers don't need you again to sell the house. They need you to, when shit starts falling apart, they need that expertise.
They need your fiduciary.
Right? From point A to point B, you don't care who the pilot is. You only care who the pilot is when there's shit going wrong with the plane.
Lightning hits the wing.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Then you want Denzel up there.
Right. You do a little bump and he's evened out. But there are several ways that you can start doing that. Again, it's not necessarily the popular opinion, but if you're looking to continue to build your book of business, and you think you can do a really good job of your database management and picking up the referrals and then really working the open houses, then that is an opportunity there to say, all right, here's the inventory. You need that bait. An empty hook's not going to catch a fish.
I think the overall premise is to don't be afraid to be innovative, right? Like we do have a very, our culture in the real estate industry does really lend itself to rigidity around how we should be doing things. And like, was it like the first dude that threw a curveball got like crucified in the major leagues because they like couldn't do that back then? Like that obviously changed. Like things adapt over time. Don't be afraid to do things differently if it makes sense for your business model, right? Like, I don't want to create any races to the bottom either. But markets change and approaches to markets need to change accordingly as well.
And I think like what you said is be sure that works for your business model. I think one of the scariest things and one of the places where people make mistakes is they listen to a podcast, or they go to a mastermind, or they get an idea and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Right. And look, maybe you don't know what comes next because you've never done it before. So how could you see behind a door you've never opened? Sure. Still, at the end of the day, you need to be super clear about what you're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, you're going to do what a lot of us, I've done in my career, and agents I see do this all the time, is just spinning around in a circle, acting busy, looking busy, taking really annoying business. Right. And then ultimately, again, potentially getting out of the business or making it way more difficult on yourself or setting yourself back financially. That's what most agents do when they're not really clear about why they're even doing a thing.
I remember one day, same day, early in my career, I drove to like West Fort Worth. So that was like an hour drive to take an expired that she only gave me 90 days to sell. It was listed at 1.2 mil and that extra, it was 1.25 mil. And that extra 0.5 there was because she was going to leave her Coco Chanel mirror in the bathroom. It should have been listed at 700,000. It was just not. It was not worth this. And then
You signed the listing now.
of course I did, bro.
Yeah.
I was 24 years old. I
I can get her to come down to 550.
I was looking at Ferraris online. I was ready to go. And then I went to Las Colinas and I took a 4,000 square foot condo listing at the El Treviso.
Yeah.
Because it was only 4,000 square feet because they'd blown out the wall in between two bedroom condos and made this 4,000 square foot monstrosity.
Massive condo.
It was two mirror images. And so now everything was doubled. They had two kitchens facing each other and shit. Like nobody was interested at all.
You took that listing too.
So of course I took it. They only gave me 60 days. Neither of them sold.
I could see a young Brian Force.
My Facebook post was like, took $3 million in business today, no big deal. Like, I got nothing for it, bro. I got nothing but headaches.
That's the reason why Brian no longer sells. He has to run Livian.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Because I'm a terrible gauge of what good and bad business
you're like,
is.
oh, you want 1.2 for this, and you want an extra 500,000 for that.
You're gonna throw in the mirror.
Yes.
Here's the thing: is you don't have to go that route as a real estate agent, and you probably will. Right? Like at some point, if you start doing decent amount of business, you're gonna take business that you look back on, and you're just like, what in the hell?
Have you ever walked into a
gave me
listing
experience.
appointment? You're walking into this listing appointment. You're meeting with the seller, and you're like, "Don't take the listing." Like there's red flags that come
Like,
in,
I already don't feel good
and you're
about
like,
this.
"Don't take it." And you're like, but then your ego and your competitive side comes in. You're like, "Fuck it."
Yes.
And then you sign them, and you walk out. You're not happy.
No.
Like, why did I do this? Why
You made
did
a
I
bunch
get
of
in-
promises you know you can't
Yes.
keep.
Why did I get embedded with this? I know the amount of headache this will be. But
But I
then you
didn't
get to
wanna leave
closing
without an
day.
agreement.
You still sell it. You get to closing day, and you're like, best day ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it's only the best
Turn
day
and burn.
because you've now been able to release this client.
You're like, I'm never gonna fucking talk to this person again.
Yes.
Like, that's how I feel every time I take a land listing. I'm like, I don't know how to sell this. Like, what am I doing taking land listings?
But Jason Northcote's going to take that audio now and use that against you.
$5,000
I
Lots
will
wants.
say we did learn our we went on a $10 million land listing appointment one time that might be the only time we were self-aware enough to be like, we even told the seller, we're like, we don't know what we're doing here. Like
We can't sell.
it was like 600 acres with like a weird chapel on it and like all this goofy stuff. And we're
like
just
barracks.
yeah, there was like an old barracks on it and stuff. And he was kind of trying to sell us on that. And it was just he was like, you could turn this into a wedding venue. I was like, I don't really want to. And I don't know where to find the buyers that are super interested in turning this into a wedding venue. So like it was like 3 hours away. So we were polite enough to bail on that one.
Yep.
I think we referred that one out.
The best part about that listing appointment was I saw the most picturesque like tree that you would have a picnic under in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
And I was like I just got my feels all of a sudden. I just saw myself on a blanket, some pretty lady.
It was like I called it a Nicholas Sparks tree. It super was, dude. It super was.
I mean, your message was matching that market. Whatever you were sending out there.
I got feeling real romantic there. I was hanging out with Brian 3 hours from there.
Is this our last show today? Or are we doing one more?
No, I have no more capacity to talk to humans.
I mean, this month? Today?
Well, maybe not even today. But
I
this
hope
month.
it's our last show today.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess-
We can
I'm doing next week.
We can do a nightcap.
Are y'all going anywhere for? I'll do a nightcap.
I can't go anywhere. Others.
You want to come to Killer's Dinner tonight?
No.
We're going to
Yes,
that Brazilian steakhouse you said was really good.
Churrascaria.
That's the reason I picked it.
I mean, it's good. We have Stork Vision ultrasound tonight at 7.
Oh.
You're gonna have to explain that one too.
Wait, look at the baby.
It's 3D. 4D. Is it 4D now?
Oh, Stork Vision's a bit. It's like that's hilarious.
Wait.
They call it Stork Vision.
It's 40 exist?
I don't know. Is that what
Like,
it's called?
Did Nick just add another dimension to the world? He's like, what is it, 40
I
now?
think they pulled the baby out and put it back in so you can see it. So,
I think it's called something else.
4D?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, that's cool.
yeah.
Shit, that's like 6 weeks away, right?
January 24th. By the way,
Whoa.
speaking of January, you know we're supposed to be in Nashville for the day?
I know we're supposed to be in Nashville for the day. I'm in if you are. Are we talking about this right now? I'm
Justin?
Yeah,
Nelson?
Right.
he hasn't connected with me. Let me tell you what happened. He sent me the link to fill out my bio for the speaking engagement.
Leave 5-star
He's
review,
done working
please.
for the rest of the year.
He then Facebook messaged me because I hadn't filled it out. He said, "Hey, bro." Then I went and clicked on the link and filled it out. And then he messaged me back and said, "That's not what I was messaging about, but awesome." I messaged back and said, "Hey, bro, sorry, I've been busy. What's going on?" Never messaged me back.
No.
So
I never filled the form out.
Really?
But
You're in the intro video. It just says Nick Good, real estate agent,
okay.
which
Awesome.
I think is I think it's kind of disrespectful. I think of you as so much more than that.
Well, I'm definitely the headliner.
You guys know I've never been to Nashville.
Neither have I.
I haven't either.
I've been to Russia and I've never been to Nashville. It's a weird thing.
So maybe we will have one more show.
I think we should do it. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm down next week. Christmas is on a Saturday, man.
Yeah.
Jesse's gone.
Jesse's not here.
We'll do it. We'll do it live.
I don't know if
somebody to run the board.
Yeah, who can run it?
We'll figure it out.
Actually, we'll pull Jesse in.
Maybe we'll
Emergency.
Every time I
show.
do this, I don't know why it bothers me so much that you and Jesse don't have any tattoos.
Who?
You and Jesse.
I may be getting one.
What do you mean maybe getting one?
What would Nick Good
What are you going to get? Yeah.
First off, where would a Nick Good tattoo
It's going to be that right there.
Oh, you got pretty jacked arms.
It's going to be right on the inside, I think.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it is later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get a couple more.
Yeah.
I got some cover up for my really shitty one.
more.
Check this one out. Zoom in on this sad bitch. Look at this. This is what happens when they tell you you're not supposed to drink and get tattoos, and then they give you one anyways. So like this
What
is
is
like
it?
sorry, my arm's a little hairy, guys. It was back when everybody was getting tribal
Like a lot of tribal
tattoos,
stuff?
and I was like, those guys are douchebags. Why don't you give me that Mayan sun god with some fucking flames on it? Because that's not douchey at all.
There's a scene in like Ace Ventura 2 where he wears a mask like that. That's what I think.
So bad.
Here's the thing, though, with your tattoos, going back to your real estate leads, your message, all you have to do is start showing your tats off in videos.
Oh,
and
that's it.
you're now connecting with
that one will really
the tat buyers.
Yes. I don't think anybody with significant tattoos is going to look at anyone other than the one on my forearm and be like, good work, dude.
Yeah. All right.
Be like, how high were you?
That was episode 125. Great show. Game changer show.
Game changer.
Leave us 5-star reviews like Tamra did. She let us know that she left us a 5-star review. We were made aware that probably should have said this in the beginning, not at the end, that our podcast hadn't been going on to our podcast channel. So that will be back up.
We're doing it all right now.
Right now. So go to iTunes, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. And then join us next week, right before Christmas. Maybe a holiday podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh, jingle bells.
Jingle bells. I'll wear a hat. All right, Jesse.
Can we still do
for the
this
last
outro?
time this year, buddy?
Let's try it.
Get us out. Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.